What's going on, guys? I got a confession to make. I just picked up Zelda Skyward Sword on the Nintendo Switch a couple weeks ago, and I just cannot get into this game. I've given it a lot of shots. I've beaten 2 dungeons so far. I'm on the third area. I think it's the sand area. And not just the controls, because I'm playing traditional controls to an extent, the best that they can do with traditional controls, but I just can't get into the fact that this game just lacks the quality and I guess just the beef that old Zelda games have, where it's just like there's a lot of exploration. I feel like this one's just little area, little area, little area. And I just can't get into it the way that I can with some of the other Zeldas. And what it made me want to do is go back and look at some of the older Zelda games. And probably my top 3 Zelda games would be Zelda Link to the Past, which is my all-time favorite Zelda game, Zelda Ocarina of Time, and the game that we're going to look at today, Zelda Wind Waker on the Nintendo GameCube. So right off the bat, right as I was booting up the game, it hit me with a little nostalgia bomb here, and I didn't have enough free space on my memory card, so I had to go back into the GameCube settings and create some space. I haven't had to do that in a couple years. Alright guys, let's talk a little bit about the Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker, which you're seeing right here. And if you remember, this game came out back in March 24th of 2003, so we're coming on almost 20 years with this game. And I remember I had to get my mom to pre-order this game at Zellers, of all places, back in the day. In Canada here, we don't even have a Zellers anymore. And it came with this Legend of Zelda Collector's Edition promotional disc if you pre-ordered it. And I still have the receipt. Actually, it's fading pretty badly inside of the box, but it was a grand total of $69.96 to get this game back in 2003, which is probably a big deal back then. Games are pretty much still that same price. Now they're at $79.99 here generally. And you can tell by looking at this game that it's aged well graphically. And why I bring that up is because that was, at the time, the thing that it was most heavily criticized for. When they showed this game, a lot of people did not like the look of it, even including myself at first. I was like, wow, how can we go from Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time to a game like this? It looks so childish. It doesn't look that good. And it's one of those games where you're proven wrong as soon as you start playing this game. It feels so good. It feels natural. It feels like a Zelda game. It's filled with mystery and exploration and different things to do. And overall, I really like this game, and it feels so good to get back into it. And another thing I really like about this game is the way that it shows expression on the characters and the way that it shows emotion on the characters. Whenever you're having a conversation with somebody, or even when Link's sneaking around and doing all these crazy little things, you can just see it in his eyes, you can see it in his face. And that's one of the things that stands out in this game that you don't really see in any of the other Zelda games. And it helps with those cel-shaded graphics. And I don't want to spoil too much of the game just in case you haven't played it before, but essentially the plot is that you're playing as Link once again, and long story short is that the game starts off because a giant bird ended up picking up your sister on this island, snatching her up, and you go on a mission with a band of pirates to get her back at the Forsaken Fortress. And let me tell you, if you can get past the Forsaken Fortress at the beginning, because it is pretty awful, you have to sneak around and you can't get caught and you're constantly getting caught. At least I was always getting caught in this part. I was always lacking patience. But if you can get past the Forsaken Fortress, then it's smooth sailing. No pun intended. And sailing is what you will do in this game. So while this game does play like Zelda Ocarina of Time, Zelda Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, where it stands out is, 1, in the cel-shaded graphics, and 2, the way that you travel around these islands, which is via this magical boat that talks to you, which is essentially the Navi character of this game. And while this game did not sell well on the GameCube, just because of the way that the GameCube sold, didn't sell very well, and just how people reacted to the cel-shaded graphics at the time, the game did gain popularity over time. And this led Nintendo to release this game again on the Wii U, called The Wind Waker HD. And let's have a look at that game and compare it to the GameCube version. And right away you can tell that this game just looks so much better than the GameCube version. It is native 1080p resolution. It's a brand new lighting engine, which makes the game look phenomenal. You can tell in the shadows and just the way that the light is coming down on everything. It really feels like you're in like a tropical island. And the game did have a lot of quality of life improvements, and one of the big ones was the swift sail that allowed for 50% faster sailing, as well that the wind would be automatically adjusted while you're sailing. Because before, what you had to do in the GameCube version is that you would actually have to get out your Wind Waker and change up the wind manually. And a couple other things that they added to this game that were just quality of life improvements was they got rid of the Tingle Tuner, which used the Game Boy Advance, where you can connect it to your GameCube, and they ended up making it the Tingle Bottle, which you can send messages to the game's Miiverse community, which I don't think is up and running anymore on the Wii U, so that might not be working if you do try to play this game. But they also made some other things just less tedious and boring, cleaned up some of the missions, and as well as they also added a hero mode, which makes the game more difficult, which results in double damage, and you can't find any hearts anywhere in the game. And one of my favorite things to do when I'm making one of these videos is to do a comparison of how a game looks now versus how it looked back then. And this is one of the perfect games where you can do that, because it did have an HD remake of this game. And in my mind, before I did this video, these two games look the same, exact same. But once I actually saw the comparison, it actually is mind-blowing how different it looks. And let's have a look. And what I did here is I just kind of stitched together one of the opening sequences of the game, and right away you can tell that there's a huge difference on the Wii U version. It almost looks like a game that could be made today. It just looks so good. It looks phenomenal. The lighting is amazing. The GameCube version doesn't hold up quite as well, but that's only because we're comparing the two. And again, right here, I kind of just stitched together this opening sequence where you're kind of just grabbing a couple of rupees, and you can just see the difference. It's night and day almost, like the difference between these two games. So just how does this game run in 2021? Well, this game still runs amazing. After close to 20 years, this game's still feeling awesome. The graphics are still looking great. Those cel-shaded graphics, I mean, Nintendo knew what they were doing with this game. And if you haven't had a chance to play this game, I strongly recommend that you do pick it up and you do give it a try. And if you have played this game, let me know how you felt about this game back in the day. Did you play it on the GameCube? Did you play it on the Wii U? Let me know in the comments below, guys. But for now, have a good one.